Why do some creators get crazy amounts of views seemingly out of nowhere and others keep being stuck like in a flat line and nothing works? Well, I kind of found the answer because I took a look at hundreds of profiles and content you guys sent me in, and I actually discovered the 7 most common reasons keeping most content creators stuck. And to actually make you understand everything, to be able to implement this in your own account, I'm going to pull up a bunch of creators that sent me in their accounts, and we're just going to fire through these most common problems that I see over and over again. And the first one being Megan from Australia. And at first glance, it actually looks pretty good. 24,000 followers. And just the first look and impression looks pretty good. Helping families embrace the chaos of travel. So that first of all looks very interesting. That's your value prop right there, right? Everyone needs a value prop. So number 1, figure out your value prop. What is the problem you solve? Why do people want to stay here? And then once they see this, I'm like, oh, I have a small family. I know about the chaos. So let me just go down there and watch more of the content. But honestly, helping families embrace the chaos of travel, what does that really mean? Point being, if you have your value proposition down, you then need to figure out some actual pain points. What is the chaos that you're talking about? How does it manifest in your audience's day-to-day life or struggle? Right? So you want to first of all write them down, like all your pain points, and kind of figure out what's the most common question that people have, or what are the most common problems people usually say they have, or you have, right? Because you're actually living that lifestyle. Now, if we take a look at the content itself, we have a range of views, right? Sometimes more, sometimes less. And usually people come to me and they're like, well, something is broken with my algorithm rating. Usually it's not broken for you. And actually, if your views look like up and down, that actually means that something is going right. The algorithm's actively trying to figure out where your audience is and who your audience actually is. With that being said, a lot of times low views tell us the alignment is not either there, right? Your content audience alignment is not there, or the algorithm just hasn't figured you out yet. But let's just take a look at this one randomly. 3,000, kind of like an underperformer right there. Okay, when families live in Australia their entire lives without visiting. Margaret River, boring, already boring. Okay, so we're not going to get too deep into the content part, but the hook is not really strong here, to be honest, in this examples. When families live in Australia, it's kind of hard to read, right? And it kind of sets up something, and then the setup is basically just one thing. And I guess most people leave at a certain point. Most people leave here. I don't even know what Margaret River is, and we don't really see a... there's cool things, interesting things, especially as a family, I guess. But I don't think people even get towards that point. Now, with that being said, just taking a quick look throughout your whole content strategy and your content pillars and your formats and stuff like this, I think the biggest issue here is, and that is the next point, you're going to need to figure out what you want to do with this, right? With you creating content. Because it's one thing if you just go ahead and say, well, I create content just because I want to document stuff. Fair enough. But you might as well do something with it where you can make money with it, for example. And in this case, I don't really see how you make money. I can't even see how you actually plan to make money. Point being, right now it's totally a mess and it's not going to lead to anything if you don't kind of reverse engineer your goal, what you want to do with it. Reverse engineer your content strategy from what you ultimately want to achieve. And you're going to see things are going to start to fall into place. And sometimes the strategy itself is going to build itself. All right, next one. It's actually a perfect example of something that should work, but it actually kills conversions and followers and everything because they've got insane credentials and the profile kind of still feels off and it doesn't work. Okay, I can instantly see what's going on right here. So looks cool at first glance and looks pretty interesting with lots of credentials in there, 10 years experience, 40 national champions, medals, even IPF medals. Right? I have no idea what that is. And worldwide coaching. So people are like, you might be like, well, this is just stacking my credibility. But the first impression really counts. Not just in terms of you looking not professional enough, because that's a thing, but also in terms of looking way too professional. Almost like an ad, almost too corporate. And just looking at this along with your profile picture and everything here, I can't really form a connection with you right there because I feel like you're just trying to sell me something and you don't even care, right? Because you have your stuff and you're like this corporate thing. So I'll just be one of many, even if I consider working with you or following you in this case. And the way to actually fix that is point number 8. The bio is just look at us, right? Us focused, me focused. I have coaching experience. We have so many champions, which is good, obviously, and you want to use that in your content strategy somewhere, like in the story highlights, for example. You can sprinkle that in your scripts every once in a while. You can just sprinkle things like that in, but not right there where you actually need to convince people to take a look further. Right? That's the only job your bio has. Point number 10, by the way. The bio just needs to make people scroll down and look at your other content. Now, the next profile actually has a pretty similar issue, but the exact opposite way. It's not a resume, it's a mystery novel. Because the bio and the content create so much confusion that people bounce instantly. And that's what the algorithm really hates. Joyce Pereira. Movie character. That is interesting. Okay, point number 11, before we even take a look at it, again, the bio. Think of your first impression that you have with people. There is no value proposition in there. Why should somebody follow you? And not just about why should somebody follow you, but why should somebody even scroll down a little bit and see what you have there for them? But with that being said, this bio is so weak that people are going to leave right there and then. Because first of all, movie character. Are you a movie character? Maybe, but just get rid of that. Point number 11, nobody needs to show their category in there. It just puts people off. Then we see London with a bunch of pirate flags. That's an interesting flag. What kind of flag is that? Angola. There you go. Interesting. Okay. Which one is that? Oh, Portugal. Obviously, I knew that. But just that alone, London with a bunch of flags, movie character, we're out. And then you have some tag there for another page. Also, you guys never use that unless you really have your personal brand and it's really attached to some huge other brand or something different that helps people actually understand you and your content, or helps you convert more people over. Let's just take a look. Maybe it's the case here. Maybe it's your movie. Sweet Cascade Bakery, London. Is that your bakery? In any case, people are going to be confused. They're going to be like, weird. Okay. What is that? Movie character, bakery. I don't even know. I'm just going to swipe out. I'm going to rage quit. By the way, I have a slight suspicion that Instagram kind of checks if you rage quit Instagram or not. If they do, you're going to get some flags with that. And then you have a YouTube link, by the way. So bio, I have to say 0 out of 10, unfortunately. You need to redo your bio. By the way, if you're worried your bio is a mess too, I actually built a free AI tool that helps you fix this. Link is in the description, totally free. With that being said, never have a YouTube link, especially in your bio. Point number 12. Don't use links to other social media platforms. Instagram doesn't like it. By the way, the others neither. So if you have an Instagram link in your TikTok, it's not going to work out. They're going to hate you for that. Now, with that being said, and we can kind of see a pattern here already, I don't even know what you're trying to do apart from looking good, right? Maybe you're trying to grow as a model. You don't have videos. Everyone needs to create reels. There's no way around that. But me, as somebody cold who doesn't know who you are, I have no idea what your goal is. Maybe you don't even know what your goal is. So let me actually show you one of my clients who I would consider her a model as well. So it's kind of similar in a way, but totally different. And you'll see in a second how to build your personal brand if you don't have necessarily something to sell. So this is Asta. Shout out. Greetings, by the way. She's kind of, I would say, a model, right? But the first thing we see is literally, okay, we understand the direction. It's about clothing and it's about fashion without even looking at any of her pictures or videos yet. And if we look at her bio, right, and if we compare it to this one right there where there's literally nothing, you always have to look at this and then combine it with your content. What would somebody think? Confusion. But here we can instantly see subverting the executive uniform, what's going on, and a bunch of personality right there. And that totally shows. And suddenly these things go together pretty well. And I think she grew from basically nothing to where she is right now in the span of, let's say, a few months. And she was just featured in Vogue, the magazine. And all of it because of clarity that you can instantly see. I think you can see this. We take a look at it side by side right here. Now, one thing we did not really take a look at today are hooks. And to be honest, they're one of the most important reasons why something blows up or not. So watch this video next where it took 3 creators, took their kind of shitty hooks and changed them to make them go viral.